show by Chris and Neil with all great movies. They are the real deal. We watch them all, so you don't have to. It's movies that don't suck and some that do.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of all ages, it's Movies That Don't Suck and some do. My name is Neil.
And I'm Chris.
And today we got a special Panic Fest edition of Movies That Don't Suck and Some That Do. We are not only reviewing a movie which is called When the Screaming Starts, we actually have the creators of the movie, Conor and Ed, right here on the podcast with you. Guys, if you could go ahead and just say hi to the audience.
Hey guys, I'm Conor here, the director, producer and co-writer of When the Screaming Starts.
Hi, I'm Ed, the co-writer, actor and producer of When the Screaming Starts.
All right.
Nice. Now, When the Screaming Starts is a down-at-heel documentary filmmaker begins to follow a cinema usher and former black metal guitarist who has decided to become a serial killer. It is a terrifically entertaining black comedy utilizing an energetic ensemble. Now, guys, right into this, me and Chris, we love this movie.
Yeah, we were big fans.
If I could have watched it 3 times in a row, I really would have. But you only get the one little screamer with.
Well, I watched it twice. So.
Yeah. But first off, I just got to ask, where did the idea for this come from? Because I know you guys have been, like I talked to you guys earlier. You guys have been working together since 2013, it seems, or off and on. Like, is it from back then, and then you guys rolled into doing this, or is it just like one drunken night, you guys having a couple pints and you're like, hey, I got an idea?
Well, yeah, I mean, myself and Ed met back at drama school. I think that was in 2012. So we both trained as actors, and after we graduated, we just stayed in touch, obviously, and started making our own work, putting on plays, short films, all kinds of terrible stuff. And yeah, we made Lost and Found, which was a very, very, very different film.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
And yeah, here we are. I don't know, what has it been, Ed? 10 years later, and we're still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, over 10 years though, man, because it was 2011 that we first met. So that's a way of making you feel old. But yeah, we've been talking about kind of making a feature film for basically as long as we've known each other, and yeah, the idea for When the Screaming Starts just kind of kicked off from us having a conversation about the kind of stuff we wanted to make, throwing around a lot of ideas. I just recently reviewed the Ted Bundy tapes for London Horror Society, and kind of watching that, I kind of found myself completely fascinated by it, and also massively repulsed because it's horrendous, but kind of going, well, what does it say about me that I'm this interested in this horrendous thing, and what does it say about us as a society that we're this interested in it? And kind of took this idea to Conor, and yeah, he kind of picked it up and we ran with it.
Yeah, and that's understandable, because if you literally, like, here in, maybe, I don't know there so much, but here in America, like, literally, I think every girl that has a boyfriend or in a relationship watches true crime documentaries, like they used to watch soap operas. Like, I know my wife, like, could tell you everything about everything from John Wayne Gacy to the BTK killer.
Yeah, the murder
And I'm
porn.
just like, great, honey, I'm not scared of you at all. But, so, like, putting this together, I'm going to have to say your cast ensemble is just, everybody is, like, almost perfect for the role that you guys came up with. Like, did you guys, like, since it seems like you worked with some of these people before in the past, did you just think, oh, I need to put them in this film, I need to find the spot for them, or were the characters written beforehand and they just added their own flair to it?
Because I know Octavia Gilmore is in the cast, and we can get your IMDb. I know you worked with Octavia a lot over the past, however long you've known her. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, we all, well, most of the cast actually trained, again, at the same drama school, Arts Ed. So we're a little unit. There's a few of us there.
Mhm.
Jared as well, who plays Norman, one of the producers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the tour, Octavia Gilmore. You know, we just all stayed in contact and made our own work together. And so yeah, there's a little collective of us that came out of what said. We all stayed in touch. And so when Ed first approached me with the script, and he had a very rough draft, he had certain characters. Some he'd written in with people in mind. I believe himself and Jared. Some of the other characters were a bit more open, and we started to think, okay, how can we adapt these to the people that we know that are brilliant actors that will work for free or for very low rates because they're our friends. And people we just wanted to be around, you know, people we wanted to work with. So it was very much a luxury that we could write with certain actors in mind. Other actors outside of our drama school, we just met along the way, you know, working in the industry, and picked up loads of talented people along the way. The trickiest part was actually finding identical twins, because we didn't happen to have any of those lying around.
I definitely got a question about that, because I mean, 100% Shining feeling, you know, the whole time. I mean, and even in the movie, I think Ed's character says that he wants to come home and watch The Shining later or something like that. But like, those two women, like, literally, like, as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh no, it's the little girls down the hallway. Oh my god!
And the deal is, I am actually an identical twin. So all the previous
really?
stuff that was in the movie, I was like, okay, yeah, I've definitely I've asked questions like this before.
Well, you ever thought about becoming an actor? Because there's a real demand. There's not that many.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. If you ever see him and his brother in the same room, it is really kind of creepy. Like, now, how long did it take you guys to shoot this film? Was it quick, or was it a quick shoot, or like did he have a couple of months, or?
It was 12 days, wasn't it, Ed, initially?
Well, I was going to say it both took quite a short amount of time and a really long time, because the first block of shooting was about 12 days, and then obviously the pandemic happened, and we ended up having a bit of a break when we were putting together a first edit, and that gave us a bit of time to kind of reevaluate stuff, think, well, what could we do to enhance the world of the film? And so we came back and did a couple more blocks of shooting. So it ended up, it was like a few months, maybe 3 or 4 months between the first block and then when we actually got around to doing kind of the second lot of shooting. So it ended up spreading over most of 2020.
Yeah.
So you guys filmed this over the pandemic?
Yeah. Well, initially we filmed just before. That was the script, but we always had in mind that we were gonna, because of the format being a mockumentary, we knew that we could, extend certain bits, add more backstory, but we wanted to get the cut together first. But then obviously COVID happened, as Ed said, so we couldn't do that. But in that time we got a whole cut together, and then we could look back, add different scenes. So it was a real luxury, actually, in a way. I think
sure.
In a weird way, that was the one silver lining that came out of COVID for us.
Now, a question we both have, because we're big music guys. I work in radio here. Chris actually does. He has a record vinyl podcast called Record Bar.
Record Night.
Record Night. I'm sorry. I had a very long day yesterday, guys. I worked a 420 event for like 16 hours yesterday. So I'm sitting here just drinking water to recuperate. But anyway,
get some coffee down you, mate.
I got tea. I don't drink coffee. I'm a tea guy. Anyway, so are you guys into black metal, or did you just bring that aspect in there to be part of your main characters?
This was just this.
Conor loves
it. This was just Ed's excuse to live out his lifelong ambition. This was all just a ruse. This whole film was basically so that Ed could just do that.
Felt it.
Because I love that music video. I thought it was so great.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Cheesy music
we really
video
enjoyed making it. Yeah.
Oh, man, that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I really like metal, and I really like black metal as well. And as Conor was saying, it's not like we made this film purely so I could get, my brother and me could make like a black metal track and we could make a music video based around it. That's just a nice offshoot of making this film. But yeah, no, we spent a long time kind of working on that kind of side of Aiden, of my character, and it was kind of stuff that we'd had ticking along in the background, but having this little luxury thing of reevaluating stuff when we were putting together the first edit, we kind of pushed the Aiden's black metal past, and just an excuse to do kind of a loving homage to terrible black metal videos.
Yeah, growing up in Texas, my friends are all into that sort of stuff. So I've been listening to Choreograph and Imperial for a long time, Dark Throne. So
yeah, when I was like 15, I was a lead singer of a band called Ragnarok, and we thought, and this is like before the Thor thing and stuff. I mean, this is like 94, 95, and like, believe me, if I could tell those guys from back then to see this, they would laugh, because I think we made the same exact video at some point on VHS.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can dig it out. Now, was it always, when writing this movie, was it always going to be the mockumentary, or did you guys originally going to have like just a story about somebody becoming a serial killer and then just made it into the mockumentary format? After thinking it through a little bit,
I think it was always kind of mockumentary stuff that we were talking about when we first discussed the characters. It was initially just going to be this kind of short between myself and Jared Rogers, who plays Norman, the documentarian, and it was going to be just him interviewing Aiden. So it always kind of had its roots in mockumentary, and I mean, it's just got the kind of benefit of being a little kinder to independent filmmakers who haven't got a huge amount of money to make a film.
No, because the format, I think, works out great for the
perfect.
two of you. And to be honest, we're both fans of like what we do in Shadows and other mockumentaries,
even
like
the Christopher Guest stuff. So like this is Smile Tap.
And Connor, I noticed, like, going back, I watched a lot of, actually, in the last 2 or 3 days, I watched a lot of your shorts and stuff. I noticed that you're really good at using, like, negative space, like, in your filming, where, like, you'll have, like, an actor just like, barely a little bit on the screen and having all this, like, negative space tell more of the story and stuff. Now, does that influence come from any director in particular, or is it just something that you've always been drawn to?
I think it's just working with dodgy camera guys, to be honest.
We speak the truth here.
To be honest, it's not something I've actively thought about. I'm normally someone who does storyboard, like in my previous short films I've gone through, and I've had storyboards. I would refer to work with the DP that way, but always willing to chuck it in the bin and just go with what's happening in front of you. This film did not have that luxury. The format itself, it was very free. Our DP, our cinematographer Adrian Musto, he was, he's grounded in documentary filmmaking. It's one of the reasons we wanted him so badly for this job, because he's used to that run and gun style, working with what's in front of him. So we really incorporated that style into the filming, which gave us a lot of freedom. But it was a case of rocking up on the day and sort of winging it, if I'm honest. There were certain set pieces with stunts and blood effects and stuff which had to be more carefully planned ahead.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
This was, we were the producers and wearing so many hats, and it all happened very quickly. So it was a case of just rolling with it each and every day.
Now, I got to ask this question because I have a deep heart feeling for this man. Do you two hate Mickey?
I know. I felt so bad for him. I saw him in Forever Eddie. I watched Forever Eddie. I was like, man, that guy's such a dick. And then seeing him in this, I was like, I have such a hard, I'm like, poor Mickey.
I just want to give the guy a hug at the end of this film.
I think that's a testament to Rob Tofield, who plays Mickey, because he's a phenomenal actor. He's really, really great. And again, we just knew we had to put him in this film somewhere. After working with him for the first time with Forever Eddie,
Yeah.
It's just like any opportunity to get him in a film, and that will be the case moving forward, I think.
Now, see, when I think of Mickey, I think of what it kind of reminded me of was like Peter in Deadpool 2. You know how like he's there with a group of superheroes and he's like, "Okay, I'm just here. Okay, I'm just gonna go home now. Bye." Like it kind of reminded me of that character a little bit, and I really loved it. It's if it was or not influenced by that, it was just, man, it was really a good part of that movie. Now, like I said, researching your background, both of you have done a lot of different shorts and stuff like that, and Connor looks like he had a little bit more on the acting side before directing. Now, are you guys looking to be more writer-directors coming up in the future, or are you looking to taking more acting roles? Like, what part of the aspect of the filmmaking process are you guys looking to dig your claws into a little bit more?
Well, for myself, it's always been something that I've done in tandem. I've always acted and created films, written, directed, edited. For me, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. It's all storytelling, and I think now moving forward for me, it's more a case of what role suits me, and I don't mean just acting roles. I mean,
Sure.
director, producer. I just worked with Yes and the Tour on a short film. I was a producer on that one and a first AD. I don't want to say jack of all trades, but certainly there's a lot of plates that are spinning. So for me, I'm open to all these opportunities, and myself and Ed are constantly developing new scripts and ideas. So writing and directing is certainly on the cards moving forward.
Yeah, for myself, it's acting and writing kind of the same. We've always done this stuff in tandem. We're always working on something, always writing, always looking for the next kind of project, because that's kind of what was drilled into us at drama school. Is you make your own work. You don't wait around for someone to offer you a job. You create that job, and opportunities will come from it. And that's kind of what we've been doing for the last 10 years or so, which is.
Oh man, don't reflect sadly. It kind of sounds sadly. I guess that's what we've been doing for 10 years. Man.
It's really been 10 years. Feels like 20.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
It's been 10
105, I
years.
swear. Now, are you guys going to be working on anything like this movie? I swear, you guys need to push this to the moon. I don't know how many more festivals you guys have. But is there going to be? Do you think there's going to be any like theatrical release of this anywhere? Is this going to be on VOD anywhere coming up soon, or any kind of way for mass audience? Because I'm telling you, I've been speaking this movie up to like everybody I've talked to.
Everyone I talked to is like
in the last week or two, and I got so many people that I could go rent a movie theater right now with a screen and fill that thing up with people that want to see this. So. Have you guys got any process of putting it out there a little bit more?
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you guys, much appreciated, and
no problem.
please do keep the good word of mouth coming. It really does help. We have a sales agent, and we're just currently finalizing our distribution deals in the UK and the US. So, there's still some variables to be discussed, but it's looking like it's going to get a very wide release.
Awesome.
And we're very excited to bring it to everyone. And we'll be in Cannes as well.
Oh, nice.
For the market.
Nice. Okay.
So looking more internationally. But yeah, we when you make these films, you want as many people to see them as possible, as long as it's not on Pirate Bay or something like that.
Which it is not. Anyway, so coming up with like your main actor, Ed, because you who wrote? Okay, what's the best way to state this question without sounding like a complete moron? Okay, so the two of you guys were both writers on this film, but like Ed, did you write more for your character than like more or the other characters? Because your character just seems like has a sensibility to it that I feel like if you're the writer for that character, you'd have to be the writer for it throughout the entire script. I mean, that's kind of what I get a sense for.
I mean, I think one of the things we've talked about when we talked about writing this is that it's really hard to know where which bit of it was Conor, which bit of it was me. It's very much this kind of collaboration. We were throwing ideas back and forth. Conor kind of came down to the nursing home where I work, so we'd be kind of running kind of scenes together with Jared as well. There, kind of coming up with ideas while I was answering the phones, and it just kind of it built up kind of organically from that. Then I might go away and kind of write stuff down, throw it over to Conor, who'd then send back a load of ideas and dialogue and scene ideas. So it's really difficult to know what, I don't think we'd be able to go through it now and go, yeah, that was my idea, that was your idea. It's this kind of weird Conor
I mean, because most ideas, they don't come out fully formed. It's monster, like right. Will there be a really terrible version of a joke, and then we'll refine it, and Ed will say something, and then it will go in a completely different direction. And by the time we've got something on the page, it's like, it's just a merging of warped minds.
A horrible mutant.
So I wanted to mention, I know the listeners can't see this, but I do see a whole shelf of Stephen King books right behind you. So if you say just, it's great.
The entire works of Stephen King.
Yes, when you talk about developing a character, Ed didn't so much develop a character as just played himself.
I mean, I do remember that I had like an idea of how Aidan was going to dress, and it was kind of very much the more going along the idea of like how Ted Bundy used to dress, and Conor was like, no, you're going to wear your own clothes. It's going to be your horror t-shirts, it's going to be your shirts. I mean, it was very cheap to get that costume wardrobe for Aidan, because I mean, I've been building it up for years.
I mean, and on top of that, which is funny because you mentioned Ted Bundy, there's I said part in this where your girlfriend in the film actually says, you should dress more like Ted Bundy or something like that. So was that actually from that aspect of that, from you guys having that earlier conversation?
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember.
This is the thing, it's like...
Sorry, Ed.
Do you guys not remember your own movie?
Yeah.
No, it's many moons ago.
It's so hard remembering the writing of it.
All right, we'll go over that part.
I mean,
now there are a bunch of great one-liners in this movie. Like I literally wrote down a whole bunch of them because I thought they were just hilarious. Because one of them is Aidan is the next Charles Manson. Yeah, but not racist. That was just that one made me seriously, if I was drinking some, I would have spit it out at that moment. Now,
yeah.
So you said earlier that you changed during the, you having all this extra time to edit and change stuff. Were there any scenes that you took out that maybe you're like, man, I wish we could have gone back to that and added that? Or is there anything like your twist ending? We're not gonna go on spec on what it is or anything like that, because anybody that listens to this, I want them to see the movie and see that own aspect. Was that something originally in the script, or was that was there a way that Aidan walked away from this better in life? How about that?
We definitely had an alternative ending initially, from my memory anyway, Ed. Yeah, again, it's hard to...
Yeah, someone got tied to a radiator.
Yes, exactly.
Someone got tied to a radiator and had to
there was a few saws.
Complete saw.
We saw it.
There's definitely a reference to Saw. But yeah, we changed it quite a bit. I mean, I don't know if there are any scenes I miss. Now they're gone. At the time, there was some cuts that went, and especially when they're friends that have shown up and worked on this film, and then you've got to cut their scene. There's nothing. There's honestly nothing worse. But yeah, some hilarious scenes.
And it wasn't down to their performance as well. They did. It wasn't down to their performances either. They did kind of really cracking stuff, but it was just about kind of getting this story the way it needed to be told. And yeah, unfortunately, that involved losing stuff that we absolutely loved. I mean, we had hour-long conversations where I'd be trying to save a scene and you'd be like, no, we've got to go. And, vice versa. And it's, hopefully nothing that we've removed
No.
Kind of
But our
is a
friends don't
regret
really
for
talk
either
to
of
us
us, I
anymore.
think.
That's sad.
So I know you guys had a long time to work on this thing due to the pandemic. Was there anything that you shot was sort of off the cuff? How loose was the script when it came to that aspect of it?
I got a bit of lag there. Sorry, what was that?
I was asking, was when filming this was a script loose, or did you guys have a place to improvise when it came to that dialogue and interactions?
It was definitely a mixture. We normally filmed the script pretty much how it was, line for line, and then once we had that in the can, we'd open it up a little bit more to a bit of improvisation. And we had some great moments from characters just going with it. Some gold really came out of those moments, and it's fun because especially as the film went on, people really just knew who their characters were. They really embodied them. So at that point, you can just point the camera and they are that person. Like I think I mentioned it on another podcast recently, but the party scene was a real example of that. That was a very short sequence. It was like they have a party. And obviously we got carried away and we just had a wild time. I think we all needed it. It was like a hard shoot. We were just, eating all the snacks and just filming madness. Obviously there were a few bits that were planned, or even on the day we said, we could do this. It wasn't just completely natural, but the actors really, really owned their characters, which was so fun and a real joy as a director.
I know, even I was looking at the IMDb of some of these people that you had in the movie, and some of them, like Catherine that played Julia, she looks nothing like her character in anything else. So it's for them to be so into the character so well that I could see them as a completely different person than what they look like normally. I think that just calls in volumes.
A testament to
a testament to them.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job, and I would consider casting them again. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, one or two.
At minimum. Now, after this movie gets done and it's out and it's released and all the above, are you guys thinking about working together again on writing some scripts, or are you guys got some solo projects coming out?
You guys see each other
hate each other and you just don't ever want to see each other again?
I think we've had enough time apart. I mean, Ed, enough time apart to maybe work on something else.
You're not getting rid of me. You're gonna stick with me.
We've been working on something today, actually. Yeah, we've got a couple of irons in the fire, various ideas, and very exciting. And looking forward to getting another project off the ground soon, hopefully.
Are you guys sticking to horror? Or do you want to branch out to all genres?
Ed just keeps trying to rope me back into horror. I wasn't a horror guy initially, but Ed's always on my case.
Well,
I mean. I have a kind of life ambition, which is to make Conor a horror icon.
You're the next John Carpenter, man.
So I will do everything in my power.
He doesn't care about anything else. That's his only goal.
It's going to be Wes Craven.
Well, because Ed,
Conor Boru.
During my research, I noticed you were part of a horror podcast where you reviewed horror movies. You're part of the London Horror Club.
That begs question.
You're every time I pulled up your name, Googling you, literally it had something to do with horror and with the H, not the W. So that's good. So
what are your favorite horror films? If you could pick me top 5, if you had that ready for you.
Oh, okay, top 5. Okay, no particular order because that's just insanity. But there's got to be Silence of the Lambs and Scream have got to be in there. Get Out, I think, as well. Last two, I'm going to throw in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a really weird kind of Australian horror called Hounds of Love, which is just the most tense, it's horrendous to watch, but in such
we're film geeks here, so believe me. I've seen. Have you seen that, Chris?
No, I'm not. I actually want to check this out as soon as I get done here.
Yeah, he'll check it out. Probably, he literally has a theater in his basement.
Yeah, I do.
I'm not lying. The guy is set. Yeah. So believe me, we're cinemaphobes as much as you possibly.
Cinephobes?
Is it cinephobes?
What is it? Cinephile, dude.
Cinephile? Whatever. And they all sound weird to me. Whatever. I don't words in English. I don't know that. I don't know that well.
So, Connor, do you have influences as a director, or you just sort of your own person?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have influences. It's a strange one because sometimes you find yourself going down certain paths. As I alluded to earlier in the podcast, like I've made films that are very different tonally to this. Um,
Sure.
I think that's part of maybe starting out. You're trying to maybe find your style, but then equally, I don't always want to be fully just attached to a style. Like me, myself, and Ed have a really quite serious, dark horror film with a bit of social commentary going on. It's not funny at all.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
that's one we're developing at the moment. So in terms of directors, I mean, obviously it's all the icons I can say, and the Tarantinos and the Edgar Wrights and Scorsese's. For this film, obviously we were influenced by what we do in the shadows was definitely a big reference, and The
Sure.
Office. So some,
No, really?
but sometimes you're influenced for that specific project, if that makes any sense. You start.
100%.
It depends on the research and the world you're trying to create. I mean, if I was to, make a sci-fi, I'm sure I'd be delving into Kubrick and Lucas and whoever else.
Oh, I mean, you did a great job. We loved this film. Me and Neil were big fans of it. And like you're saying, I was telling everyone I know about this movie, and so it's
Thank you.
yeah, we love this thing. So
That's-
when it came to challenges in this film, what was probably the biggest challenge to overcome when you were making this?
Well, I think it was COVID-19, to be honest.
Yeah,
wasn't it,
sure.
Ed? That was the big one. That was the real toughie that
Really?
came out.
That was the
Came-
thing?
That came out of nowhere and pulled the rug from under our feet.
Yeah, I think the plague.
Well,
yeah.
other than that, I don't know. I think it was just wearing so many hats.
Sure.
It was a very low budget film, so we had to oversee a lot of different departments, like even the costume and props. Like we had someone designing the props, but then we'd be responsible for them. We'd be loading up a van in the morning full of all the props, costumes, food. Like it was. I came to learn that actually directing was the easiest part. It was the producing and all the other roles that were filling my brain at the time. So for me, yeah, it was just wearing a lot of different hats and trying to balance everything.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, definitely. It was constantly like spinning a load of plates, and like as Connor was saying, there was no time. Like for Jared and myself, the acting side of it was there. That was fine because we knew we could do that. It was the keeping the rest of the plates spinning that we weren't, we haven't had experience at. So it was kind of learning on the job, which is interesting. Yeah.
See, now, I actually had a question earlier that I was going to ask you, but then when I found out that the whole aspect of Aiden was actually based on just you, Ed, and the question was going to be, what do you love most and what do you hate most about the character that you played? And I don't want to do that now because I feel like if I ask that question, that's reflecting yourself, and I don't.
What do I really hate about myself?
This is getting deep, this podcast.
Yeah, I know it's got really deep. I
What
don't think I can do that now.
What I really like about all of these interviews is that Connor always finds a way of kind of making it seem as if Aiden is me, which I appreciate. That's nice that you just kind of like throw me.
Well,
under
that's
the bus.
my sole mission in life, Ed.
But I suppose it's the thing that I like about Aiden is that he's very passionate about stuff. Whether that's his music or his films, his horror. I think the thing that I hate the most is that I suppose it's that fanboy thing that we've talked a lot. Connor and I have talked a lot about kind of true crime and serial killers in the research for this, and that kind of glamorizing of serial killers that people can do. I clearly love horror. I've got an interest in true crime, but it's when people cross that line from finding something interesting to kind of idolising it. I think that's what I hate the most about Aiden, not myself.
Yeah, that was a really cool aspect because there definitely is a community out there that like loves serial killers and like do glamorize them, and that was an interesting concept to include in the film itself. So I appreciated that for sure because while there's a lot of comedy in this, there's like a lot of social commentary even in this comedy film. So I mean I loved it. I really did. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like people I know a lot of people I know, like the women in my life, literally all watch true crime documentaries and stuff like that constantly, and of course, therefore, I have to watch them constantly because if I complain, then I'm divorced. So now, did you guys like go and watch like A&E and Discovery Plus for like 10 hours and just be like, well, take something from that, and that? Or like, was it just the fact that you just saw the reflection of how people in society have just I mean, because be honest, like, I just think I came up with this in my head. I think I think it's a reflection of actually like kind of like the pandemic, because during this pandemic, I think this all became more swelled to the point that now nobody has nothing to talk about except for what they saw on whatever streaming platform they were watching that week, because we didn't go out for 2 years. We didn't go do things for like 2 years. So do you think the reflection of this film had the overwhelming love for true crime documentary probably came out of that? And then it just so happened that we're all thinking that it is a part of society now. Wow, I got really deep there. That was a deep question. I am not a deep guy, guys.
This took a real turn from us talking about black metal. Yeah. I mean, I think people have always been interested by true crime. This, as I was saying, Conor and I have talked about it a lot, and it's. I think just over the last few years, it's become kind of a really massive thing. You've got loads of streaming services that have these kind of documentary mini-series about this serial killer or that serial killer. And I suppose the thing with the pandemic is, as you were saying, like, we watched a lot of stuff on streaming services, and so it just maybe pushed that kind of interest that people had in it to an even greater degree, because, like you're saying, there's nothing really else to talk about other than what you're watching. But I think as a society we are interested.
I think just really quick, I would have to say I'm glad that you guys went with the true documentary, true crime, way, and not the Joe Exotic way. Because if I got to hear about that guy anymore, I live in the state where he's from.
I've actually met him.
Hear about that ever?
Yeah, I've actually met Joe Exotic, and I have pictures of him on my Facebook of before he was crazy. He's always crazy.
No, he was always crazy.
Yeah, but before he became famous for being crazy.
Yeah, that was a strange time. I mean, that as an example, that really encapsulated that time period, didn't it? That one show, and it's like you do get these true crime documentaries that come out, and they just become part of pop culture, and it is interesting, the fascination, as Ed said, that we have with serial killers. It's not like we ever wanted to be judgmental, because obviously Ed's a huge fan. I'm a fan of true crimes, documentaries and books and fiction. For me, I'm not such a huge fan, or at least I wasn't before we got started with this film. And Ed has educated me about all the various serial killers. Ed would know all the serial killers on the serial killer Guess Who board. I wouldn't, for example. But each and every one is fascinating because they encapsulate a part of the human experience that we all probably have that in us somewhere. But it's like these people actually go out and just act on those instincts. It's terrifying and it's interesting, and we're trying to poke a bit of fun at the subject.
And I think it maybe will make less people not go out and do it.
Yeah.
Now, before we get off here, I just want to ask this question just so you can help out future people going into making films themselves, independent films and stuff like that. What kind of advice do you have for any upcoming filmmakers that are trying to make their own independent films, trying to get their own projects off the ground?
Well, I'd say from my point of view, try and find like-minded people that you can work with. It makes the journey a lot easier, makes it a lot more enjoyable. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's about putting yourself out there, trying to connect with people. And with this, again, it was a small team of like-minded people, and we couldn't have done it on our own. Financially, we couldn't have done it. Just the actual logistics of making a film. So I would try and surround yourself with people, and try and write an idea that seems achievable. I know I don't want to limit anyone's imagination or advise that,
Sure.
Right.
but you can have that huge script, the sci-fi blockbuster, but initially keep it a bit more grounded. Look around you. That's what we did. We looked at what we had around us, what locations, what people, and we sort of tied that into this weird story. And yeah, that's what I would say.
A lot of really creative ideas come out of
Yeah.
limiting yourself. Like if you put yourself and you have this limit yourself, you come up with really creative ideas, and I really appreciate that when people are able to do that.
Oh, definitely.
So-
I think those limitations force you to get creative. There's so many ideas that we wouldn't have come up with if we did have a bigger budget, for example.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes using the 7-Eleven on the corner is a lot better than trying to make your own convenience store in a garage to try to make it look like it. Just go ask Joe Bob. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to help you out if you just ask.
That's it.
Well, guys, I think this has been a great conversation. Thank you very much for joining us here on Movies Don't Suck.
Yeah,
and
we're truly thrilled to have you on. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, we've talked to other directors and actors in the past, and I'm not going to say that you guys are probably two of the best, but man, you guys have been. To be honest, I think would be good guys hanging out, having a pint together somewhere, because literally, I'd love to pick your guys' brains for the next 12 hours and still not be tired of it. But so, everybody that's listening, the movie is called When the Screaming Starts. Now, if you cannot see it, the way you can see it now is through April 30th. You can go buy tickets at panicfilmfest.com, Panic Film Fest, and you can get a virtual ticket to see When the Screaming Starts. And I am telling you, we do a 5-star rating. This is a 4.8 out of 5 for me. I love this movie. If I still owned a DVD collection, this would be a DVD I'd put on the shelf right now.
Yeah, I'd stop buying them because they'd fill my whole house. So,
I used to have a collection of over 4,000 DVDs.
Oh.
and my wife was like, no.
Put on the spot. I was going to say if you guys are ever in London, do hit us up and we'll go for a beer and we can do another
Awesome.
episode maybe when it's released or on our next project.
yeah, absolutely.
We are world travelers. Chris
Yeah.
has been everywhere, and I've been to all 50 states and different and 2, 3, 4 different. Well, I was in Ireland once, but we're not going to talk about that because I don't remember it.
Oh yeah.
Guinnesses.
Yeah, we'll go with Guinness. But so appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you again. That was Conor Boru and Ed Hartland from the movie When the Screaming Starts. Definitely look it up. If you don't see it in the virtual film, please look it up. It should be coming out somewhere towards you soon. Thank you guys and have a good day. All right.
Cheers, guys.
All right. So everything you think went wrong, don't worry. We edit.
Yeah.
We're both musical guys that have been editing things for years, so don't worry about anything like that.
It's going to be like a 5-minute episode.
There have been episodes because usually when we do our podcast, sometimes we'll have a couple of beers and we'll because we're supporting local pubs and or breweries and stuff like that, and so there'll be times we get so drunk and we just keep recording, going live.
Or we'll forget to hit record and just go.
Yeah, we'll forget to hit record, and it'll be like, oh, we're 30 minutes in. We've totally forgot about everything we were supposed to do. That's great. Guess we got to do it again. It's only happened.
I do love that I do love that as an excuse. Any time to have a beer. Yeah, I'm just supporting my local brewery, so I'm a real Samaritan.
So you guys got a couple more gigs today for interviews and such?
No, I think that's it for me in terms of interviews. We had some last week, and we've got some more coming up. But that's it today.
I want to thank you guys
Just
for
a bit-
spending your evening with us. I know it's probably 7 there now, or is it 6?
7, yeah, 20
Yeah.
past 7.
Oh yeah, so yeah, thanks for being
Yeah,
on.
see, here it's 1:30. I'm about to go get showered up. I got to go work. Have you ever heard of Nathaniel Ratcliffe and the Night Sweats? They son of a bitch, give me a drink. That song.
No.
All right. Well, they're
not black
actually
metal,
really
sorry.
cool. They're a really good blues band here in America. They hit the charts and stuff like that. They're like bluesy rock, and so I got to actually go work that concert until midnight.
I'm
tonight.
actually on my lunch break right
Nice.
now, so yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he's on
hustling,
his
hustling.
He's got to go back to work as soon as we get off the air with you guys. But I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you for doing all this. We'll put the word out, and we'll get us to our thousands of followers. And like I said, can't wait to see whatever comes from you guys in the future.
Yeah, we're super excited
Seriously.
about it. So
We're
thanks so
super
much for being
excited.
on. Like, yeah, we're truly thrilled to have you guys on the podcast.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Much appreciated. And yeah, stay in touch, and
Oh,
yeah,
we will.
we'll speak to you again, I'm sure.
All right.
All right.
See you
Well,
guys.
thank you, guys. You guys are free to go at your will. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Cheers, gents. Have a good one.
Cheers.
You too. All right, that was an interview with Connor and Ed of When the Screaming Starts. That was a fucking great interview, dude.
Yeah, talking to Connor and Ed was just a great time. We were really, really excited to talk to both of them. Connor and Ed Hartland were the writers of the movie When the Screaming Starts.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a good 10-minute review real quick, even though after we just did an interview with them, it's good to do it afterwards so
Yeah.
then they can't threaten to fly here from London and beat us the fuck up.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that.
Real quick.
Okay, this is directed by...
No, because we actually enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
We're not going to shit on it
Yeah.
like we do all the other movies we watch. So I'll get started with.
But directed by Conor Boru,
So-
writers Conor Boru and Ed Hartland. We talked to them, so you can just guess what they sound like because they were just on here. But read the storyline, I guess. Storyline again.
When Norman Graysmith is invited into the home of an expiring serial killer, Adian Mendo, he believes he has the subject for the documentary that will make his career.
This movie is so fucking funny.
Yeah, there is a line to this movie that really, really was hilarious to me, and it was like no one ever remembers the victims.
Yeah.
They just remember the serial killer. And I'm just like, yeah, of course. This is a terrifically entertaining black comedy.
Uh-huh.
It utilizes this energetic ensemble, equally they're funny, highlighting the modalities of everyday existence for the central anti-hero. The funny thing about this is just how the characters get along so well.
Dude,
and
everyone it. Even the guy who can't speak fucking English, that guy was
Yeah.
great too. Yeah,
the guy is awesome. He couldn't speak English well, and he just pops in and he's he thinks he's there for I think a yoga treat or something like that.
Yeah.
And by any means, man, this is a movie we said during the interview, really reminds me of What We Do in Shadows,
Mhm.
and it's kind of that mockumentary of just doing it of a serial killer. It's a mockumentary about a serial killer. And the thing
Or
is,
wannabe serial killer at the very least.
yeah, I want to be a serial killer, because at the end of this, it has a twist, and I don't want to give that away, and I try to stay away from it during this whole interview, but the twist just makes this movie fucking even 10 times better, because it goes from the fun lightheartedness of What We Do to Shadows to being, oh shit,
Yeah. You
it's
can
really serious
yeah,
right now.
Yeah, you do. And it's not. It doesn't take you out in any way. You're invested because you like these characters. I also want to say, poor Mickey. Poor Mickey.
Oh man, Mickey in this movie, he is a character, and in this movie, that poor guy just gets shit on more times.
I want to give a hug, man. I want to give Mickey
in
a
my
hug.
backyard with my dogs. The guy is just the whole poor Mickey.
He's such a small character, but I felt so bad for him. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to give Mickey that family he always wanted. You know what I mean?
I feel like the ensemble of his characters, and I don't know, like they said, most of these people came from their London troupe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone
That they,
everyone
you know,
knows each other sort of already. So that might have
and-
something to do with like how well it worked because they knew each other already. I think they knew how to work together. So having these people they worked with before makes it like click immediately. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it felt comfortable. It felt like you're just literally spying in this guy's life. And it just seemed like, I don't know if they say that a lot of it was written, but man, how this wasn't ad-libbed at
I know, dude.
some points.
I know, just
Like how this wasn't like improv with the feature. Like I have no idea.
it felt real.
Like,
Like the dialogue was so natural. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So, and I loved it. I loved Ed. I loved Jared. I loved Yasin. I loved fucking almost every character in this movie.
Yeah.
And
Amy, Sophie, Malcolm, Terry,
Yeah.
like everybody in this movie was just like, I didn't want to stop, man. This is a movie that could have been 4.5 hours. I'd have been fine. This could be a series.
Yeah.
And I would have been perfectly fine with it. Let me read a couple of the quotes from it real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll give our rating on this thing.
And there's also Rotten Tomatoes on this, so.
Oh, there's a Rotten Tomatoes on this?
Wait, don't quote me on that. There might be, but keep going.
All right. When it comes to murder, someone always gets killed. You can be closer to a serial killer than you even realize. Our relationship is based on our love for murder. You don't want people thinking you're a terrorist when you're a serial killer with no political affiliation. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Orphans just can't be trusted, man. What language you learning? Snitches get stitches, bitch. I just want to know, when does the yoga start? Aiden is the next Charles Manson. Yeah, just not racist. Just not racist. And I am very excited to get a lot of good shots tonight of death. I'm going to crush you like ants crush little ants. Come on, you peasants. I'll take you all. What it felt like when you killed them. Like, I don't know, a Tuesday? It's not your fault, Norman. Some people just don't have an eye for it. First thing you got to do is surprise your victim. My name is going to go down in the history books. Serial killers are never forgot. No one remembers the victim. Fucking great.
Right.
I mean, that's just some of the words of it. And this is only an hour and 30 minute movie.
Yeah,
man.
it's
I mean,
easy
this
to
is like a good, fun, like, this is something you can get done in 90 minutes, smoke a blunt, and freaking have a good time.
So what's your score on this?
I easily, I said this during the interview, if this isn't in my top 10, maybe even top 5 for the year,
Yeah.
I mean, because literally, this is my kind of sense of humor.
Yeah, this is a Mary Neal movie. Yeah.
This hits my heartstrings, so I'm going to say it, and I don't want you to make fun of me. This is a 4.8 for me.
Okay.
I fucking love this movie. This is, by any means, I cannot suggest this movie. As soon as this hits theaters everywhere, a streaming service, platforms, they said they're working on a deal. Whatever it hits, I am suggesting this and making everybody watch this. I'm probably going to watch this movie 30 times as soon as it hits, whatever it's going to hit.
Mine's a 4.4. I liked it a lot, and I can't wait to watch this on streaming. It was the first movie that we saw for Pankfest, and it couldn't have been a better one. It was so good. It was so funny. I
think this was the third or fourth one I saw, like after all the things you sent.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
email.
gotcha. Yeah, sure.
Because I saw a lot of the shorts, but still, it doesn't matter if it's first, last, third, whatever. I know we're reviewing some other movies for Panic Fest that people are saying are better than this movie. I I don't see how. I don't see it. I mean, I've watched a few movies now for the Panic Fest, and I love them all. They're doing good. Creators doing great. Don't feel like I'm dissing you. There's just some things that are going to be better fit for other people than me. This was my fit. This made me happy. I'm probably going to think deep thoughts about this later. And
when this gets announced, when we find out details on how you guys can see, we'll definitely shout out in the show, and we'll point you back to this episode. You can listen to the interview if you haven't watched it yet. But we had a fucking great time talking to Conor Boru and Ed Hartland. They were fantastic. I can't wait to have a beer with them when we go to London. They told
us 100% to look them up in London, and I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, guys, I cannot justify to you not only how good this movie is, but how good Panic Fest is.
Yeah.
Panic Film Fest in Kansas City. We did an interview with Tim Canton and everybody. Man, look it up for next year. Panic Film Fest. Add them on Instagram, on Twitter, on everything, because they have some great movies that have come through. I mean, What We Do in Shadows actually came through. Panic Film Fest years ago.
I think
Andy came through there.
I think Taika. I think he did an interview. He did an intro for Panic Fest.
Yeah.
And now he's a fucking movie. He's a superstar now.
Yeah, these are future megastars in the making.
Yeah.
And it's all going through Kansas City Panic Film Fest. Definitely check it out. I mean, at this point, what more can we say this? So did you find out? Is there an IMDb?
Yeah, but there's only two reviews, so it's 100%. But the two reviews are good.
Yeah, well, good. At that point, then, guys, thank you for joining us for our Panic Film Fest 2022
coverage.
A coverage. We're having a great time doing this. All the films there have been great pieces of art. If we differ in opinion or what we liked or didn't like, different yours, that's okay. That's part of America. It's part of being, who we are. We're all just have our opinions and our voice. So at this moment, Chris, hit that outro.
Real quick, panicfilmfest.com. panicfilmfest.com. Twitter at panicfilm or panicfest. And I think that's all you need to know. You'll find them everywhere on the internet. And 2023 is sure to be a blast. You good?
Good. Let's hit the music. Ladies and gentlemen, that's another episode of Movies Don't Suck and Some Do. My name's Neil.
And I'm Chris.
And remember, guys, anytime you're just having a good night, walking in the park, having a cool drink, relaxing, looking at the star, remember, run like hell when the screaming starts. Have a good night.